Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Okay. Hey, guys. And you can't see what I'm looking at. Thank God I checked that. My name's Connor, if you're new. I think this is a really good thing. I know that, obviously, the UK is one of the countries in the world that does have its own nuclear weapons. But I learned that that they require American-made rockets to deploy those nuclear weapons. And so this is a big move for the UK to now not be reliant on the US, as the US is becoming less reliable. And now it has its own way to, if it needs to, or at least have a way of deterring, like, hey, we don't need the USA. We can drop our own nukes if we need to. God forbid that ever happens. But it's the deterrence that's a big deal. I just bit there, so sorry about that. Preemptive, like, BFBS Forces News. This came out 4 hours ago. I won't post it today, but I'm excited to learn. Let's go. All right. By the way, if anything I said so far in the video or in the future of this video that you disagree with or that I was wrong on, please call me out, obviously. Mach 3, what is that? Like 2,200 miles an hour or something? Crazy fast?
Well, back in the 80s and 90s, the UK had a WE-177. There were a couple of ways of dropping it, and there were a couple of versions. I won't go into too much technical detail. One of which was what's known as an airburst weapon. So you basically threw it into the sky, and it went bang about a few hundred feet off the ground and created what's known as an airburst. In your little tornado, as you turned away from this big bang, you got about 4 miles away when it went off. So no one's ever tested it, and no one ever had to do it. So we're not quite sure what would have happened. But yeah, that was what we were designed to do. There was another version where you dropped it literally from about 200 feet. It had a little parachute to slow it down. It then bumped onto the ground, and 30 seconds later, it went bang.
Even with the 30 seconds in the parachute, 200 feet seems a bit risky.
So on that one, you were probably about 3 to 4 miles away again. So yeah, pretty horrific stuff. But let's be honest, if we were using those, you know, the whole world had gone to, I want to use a profanity, but I'm not going to rat something. The reason we had them is Russia had them. And Russia's doctrine was very much to employ them in certain circumstances. So we had them to deter them from using theirs. What we've seen in Ukraine in the last few years is Russia threatening the use of tactical nuclear weapons. And if you don't have a tactical nuclear weapon to threaten back, the only counter threat you have is a strategic nuclear weapon. Which is a much bigger weapon back the nuclear weapons. And if you don't have a tactical nuclear weapon to threaten back, the only counter threat you have is a strategic nuclear weapon, which is a much bigger weapon designed to almost take out, you know, large cities and.
Okay, well, I'm going to go back 5 seconds. A big lesson should be learned from after the collapse of the Soviet Union, Ukraine, a former Soviet state, one of many former Soviet states that broke away from the Soviet Union, then Russia, after its collapse, had nuclear weapons that were left behind from the Soviets' nuclear weapons. And America said to Ukraine, hey, can you give up your nuclear weapons? And they're like, why? Well, we have nukes and we'll protect you. And so you're still just as safe as if you had your own. Lie. And the lie is proven because of, obviously, Russia invading Ukraine. More nukes, more countries having more nukes is obviously more dangerous for the world. But a country not having a nuke themselves is like let's face it, countries will take your threats less seriously. You know, this is why Iran wants a nuke. This is why North Korea gets a nuke. This is why Israel gets a nuke. And so there's this like, okay, we want less nuclear proliferation, but you've shown us that the nuclear powered countries won't come to the aid of countries that don't have nukes, that are threatened by nuclear powered countries. And so obviously we need our own. And so there's not a paradox. Do you get what I'm saying?
To threaten back. The only counter threat you have is a strategic nuclear weapon, which is a much bigger weapon designed to almost take out, large cities and large population areas, horrific that may be. But it means that you don't have the same capability on the escalatory ladder in order to deter, which is why other nations do maintain that option. France and the US have their own in-house sovereign capability, and about 5 other European nations borrow American tactical air weapons in order to have that tactical deterrent threat to stop Russia using theirs. Some of those aircraft that were hit by the Ukrainian drones, they are dual-capable bombers.
By the way, insane. I've watched a full video on it, and I'm still incredibly impressed that they were able to do this.
Those aircraft that were hit by the Ukrainian drones, they are dual-capable bombers that can either carry a conventional missile or a nuclear missile. And those nuclear missiles can go far enough to reach the UK. So they have a tactical nuclear response. Nobody wants to use them, but sometimes you have to have them to stop the other side using them too.
Yeah, people who say that no country should have nukes are similar to the way I think about people who say, why do we have to keep fighting wars? My mind wants to explode. No pun intended. Honestly, no pun intended there. But those people I'm bewildered by those people. Yeah, I would love it for no countries to have nukes, for every country to get rid of their nukes. But what happens if a country lies and keeps some nukes hidden very, very far away, no one can find them, and then says, all right, nobody has nukes anymore. Oh, but wait, they still have them. And no country is going to trust every other country. And therefore, complete obliteration of all nuclear weapons is impossible, because no country with a mind that is smart at all is going to remove their nukes, knowing that another country might lie, and now they're the only ones with the nukes. And I say this knowing that, America is the only country that has actually used nuclear weapons. And so an often argument is like, who is the U.S. to judge other countries about having nukes when you're the only one who has actually used them to kill people, right? And I get that, and I don't have really an excuse for that. That's true. But it's similar to the argument of like, let's not build up our military. Let's not have wars anymore. Okay. Let's say I agree with that statement, okay? I don't want wars anymore. Let's lower our military, okay? And then it's like you're not even thinking the next step. Okay, you don't have a military right now, but one of your enemies kept their militaries, and now they're invading you. What happens? Do people even think that long? I don't know. Okay, end of the video. So the thing that I'm surprised that the video, obviously a short video, Forces News, BFBS Forces News, great channel. I watch them all the time. They're awesome. I learn a lot from them. But this seemed to be more about the danger and use of nuclear weapons and tactical nukes rather than the revolutionary capabilities that this now gives the United Kingdom. France has the capability, I believe, to deploy their own nuclear weapons without anyone's help. Russia does. China does. India does. I think Pakistan does. Israel, I think, does. I'm not sure about Israel, actually. Some people say they don't have them, and they say we may or may not. They have them. But The UK has nukes, but I learned that they can only be fired by American-made rockets. And so if America doesn't supply the rockets, then what good is your nuclear weapon if you don't have a way to deploy it? Well, now they do. And I was hoping the video would focus more on the implications of that, you know? Great video. Guys, as I say all the time, I'm no expert. Sometimes I worry that I talk with too much confidence. And I think that the confidence in which you speak about something should match your knowledge of something. And I might go over that boundary sometimes. So if I said anything stupid, wrong, something you disagree with, please call me out. If you can answer any questions I might have had, you guys are always awesome. Hope everyone's doing well. Stay safe. And I'll see you next time. We'll keep on learning. Bye, guys.